Hello, 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 and happy Friday. This is Steph Lee, the founder of Host Agency Reviews, and you are tuning in for the Friday 15, where every Friday, 12 p.m. Central Time, we answer your industry questions. And you can go ahead and submit any questions you might have by going to hostagencyreviews.com/Friday15, or you can scan the handy dandy QR code if you are watching on YouTube this beautiful Friday afternoon. And I should also mention, because you may be hearing birds tweeting in the background, and that's because summer has arrived here in Minnesota. And, oh, hold on, we might be having problems. Oh, okay, I think we're on now. Okay, sorry everybody. All right, so let's see. You might be hearing bird sounds, and that's just because I can, oh, hold on. I'm just hearing from Abby. Let me see. Let me make sure it didn't cut off my intro because I had a really great intro for you. Okay, so we're going to start over, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. This is Steph Lee, the founder of Host Agency Reviews, and you are tuning in for the Friday 15, where every Friday, 12 p.m. Central Time. By now, you should know this, but in case you don't, we answer the industry questions that you have submitted. We are so glad you are here on this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Friday afternoon here in Minnesota. And because it's so beautiful, I am out on my porch, and that may be why you're hearing some birds in the background. But I think it's a nice, pleasant background noise. So welcome to everybody. We're so excited you're here. I've put up a QR code, and for those that have questions that you would like answered on a future Friday 15, it can be about anything in the industry, or it could be about my cool plant back here. This is a white snake plant that I just got. Whatever you want, we'll answer at the Friday 15. All right, so let's see. We're going to go ahead, first of all, couple announcements as usual. So first, this is the last day, although I'm going to ask Mary to extend it through the weekend, for our survey. If you have not taken our survey, please go ahead, take the survey. It's going to take you 5 to 10 minutes. And you will get a free report in the end. It'll come out this fall. It'll be about 70 pages of delicious data for you to help make sure that your agency is on track for where it should be. And if you're not, it can give you the data you need to make sure that you are heading in the right direction and hopefully making more money. So again, take that survey, whether you're brand new and you only have 1 month under your belt, or if you've been in it for 15 years, we want to hear from everyone, or even if you're an employee. Second thing is, we were going to have on a co-host as Chad Burt from Outside Agents. Obviously, it is just me on today. Chad was caught. He was at the ASTA conference, and then his flight got all delayed and weird because of the weather there. And so he wasn't able to make it today, but I am going to read, because they are sponsoring this episode, this cute little blurb. So, looking to skyrocket your travel business? Join Outside Agents, a leading host agency since 1992. With over 9,000 agents and $750 million in sales, we offer an unbeatable 80 to 95% commission split and 0 startup fees. Benefit from cutting-edge tools, marketing programs, and top-tier training. Whether you're a newbie or a seasoned pro, Outside Agents has everything you need to succeed. Join us today and start earning more. Visit outsideagents.com for more information, and we will go ahead, drop that link in the comments, as well as a link to their profile. So thank you again to Outside Agents for sponsoring today's episode. All right, let's get into our questions. So first one is from Becky, and this is a great one. I think we're all going to be able to relate. Not a question, but a request. Please discuss agent etiquette on FAMs. From the unwritten rules of don't sit on the bed or use a toilet, to the obvious ones of showing up on time, don't solicit guests, etc. There seems to be a lack of awareness and understanding lately. Becky, I think we have all been there where we've been on a fam trip and you're like, where did this person come from? So what we went ahead and did was, let me share my screen really quickly, is we created a fam etiquette one sheet that people can print out, whether you're hosting a fam as a supplier, whether you're an advisor, and there's some newbies on your fam trip and this is their first one and they may not be aware of this fam etiquette. You can print it out and offer it to anybody that's new or has never been on a fam before, or if you're a host agency and want to use it for your fam trips that you're hosting, please feel free to do so. So let me go ahead and we'll talk about some of the fam etiquette that's out there. If you're in the comments, please go ahead, share some fam etiquette that you've had or things that you've seen that people have broken and may or may not have known that they were breaking, or you can share your worst fam trip story because that's a fun way to bond with other travel advisors. So let me first go ahead. I'm going to switch this over. There we go. And what we're going to do is on the site, if you go up into the search bar on the type, if you type in FAM, that will pull up our article on travel agent FAMs. If you're not familiar with a FAM trip is, it's a familiarization trip. It's these great experiences and opportunities travel advisors have to see destinations, resorts, ship inspections, things like that. It's usually at a much lower discounted rate than what you can get for the public. And you get to see lots of different resorts and lots of things in the destination with the idea that it helps you sell better. But there are some things. So in this article, we talk about a bunch of different things. So we talk about what a fam trip is, the different types of fam trips, because some are more leisurely if they're an awards trip versus a working fam. And you know what those are because you get up at 6 in the morning and you go to bed at 2 in the morning. And you are very tired by the end of them. And then we talk about what happens, how much they cost. And then one of the things we talk about how to get invited on them. And then here's our beauty, our fam trip etiquette. So first thing is leave no trace. We don't want, this may or may not be common sense because I think some people would just think, oh, I'm sitting on the bed, I'm testing the bed. But the reality is they're showing you these rooms, they made them up for housekeeping and they're ready for guests. The problem is when you're testing the bed or using the toilet, then housekeeping has to come back in and clean it, and it creates more work for the people that are hosting the trip. So that's something you want to avoid doing. You want to avoid throwing things in the trash can because that means it needs to get empty. You want to avoid leaving your empty water bottle in there. So leave no trace when you're going around the resort or the ship. Other things you want to do, be on time. We've all been on things, whether it's a fam trip or something, where there's the person in the group that makes everybody wait. So I would say not just be on time, but actually be early, be respectful to your peers, as well as the hosts. We talked about not using the toilets. Be respectful of the guests that are out there that are on the property or on the ship. There have been many stories, believe it or not, of travel advisors that use this opportunity to solicit guests. So they'll try to be like, hey, I know you really like this resort. What about if you booked it with me next time? That is not appropriate when you're there. If it comes up, if you're on your own vacation and it comes up naturally with a guest that you've befriended, that's another story, but not when you're on a fam trip. The other thing is, if you're going through a crowd, be as unobtrusive as possible to the guests that are there. Join a big group of, whether it be 10 or 30 or 50 advisors coming through the resort can be a little bit disruptive. So try to be as least disruptive as possible. Number 5 is to drink smart. Oftentimes, as many people know, that drinking is often free-flowing on fam trips, especially if they're at an all-inclusive resort. But even if they're not, oftentimes the hosts are very gracious and have a lot of alcohol. It is okay to have fun out there, people, but it is not okay to be sloppy drunk and be unprofessional. That can really harm your reputation with the suppliers as well as your colleagues. Likewise, I'm just noticing I numbered these wrongs. I got to fix this. Okay, so the second number 5 is don't be a diva. And that comes in, sometimes people go into these fam trips, which are great opportunities with a chip on their shoulder. they're a lot of work to put together. They're a very great experience for you. And if there's something that you're unhappy with the resort, or you have a problem with a particular client booking, when the host is giving you a tour of the property or the ship, now is not the time to bring up a client issue that you have or to complain about something on the ship. There's a lot more tactful ways to do that, and that would be one-on-one with the person later on, and possibly sending them an email afterwards, because you should be collecting everybody's business cards when you're on these fam trips so that you have the connections on the ground. The other thing is come prepared, just like for anything you're doing for work. You should have a notebook, or there's FAM apps that are available, and you can find links to those in our article. We also have free ship inspection checklists as well as site inspection checklists that you can print off beforehand. If you're new to a FAM trip, it just gives you kind of a guide to go through. Otherwise, you can take notes on your phone too, but just have something so that you can write things down. Next thing is to avoid using the phone when you're in a group setting. It's really obnoxious, especially when someone's giving a tour, when there's an advisor on the phone. We do understand that everybody is running businesses, but you don't necessarily need to be on the actual phone talking in a group of people. You can discreetly go off to the side. You don't want to put yourself on hold and have everybody listen to the hold music either. And then the last thing is to dress appropriately. So there are a lot of things that travel advisors, you're going to have maybe a fancy dinner you're going to go to. You're also going to be probably walking a lot. So high heels, likely not going to be what you're going to be wearing all the time, or you may wear it for one evening. But look at the itinerary ahead of time so that you make sure that you're dressed appropriately, so that you're comfortable, but that it's also professional. Because again, you're representing our industry when you are out there. So Becky, hopefully that covered it. If you're listening in, I would love to hear in the comments, whether you're watching this live or the recorded version, I would love to hear if we missed anything in terms of things we could add to the list. So please pop those in the comments if you have them. And we are going to link to, because one of the things I'm going to show everyone is our events calendar if you haven't run across it. So this is a really great, under the categories, there's a fam trip one, and you can see we have over a full page of fam trip opportunities for you. So if that's something you're wondering how to get on FAMs, check out that article. If you're looking for a FAM, we'll link to our events calendar so that you can check those out and hopefully go on a FAM soon. Because who doesn't love going on a FAM? All right, so we're gonna go ahead, stop sharing that screen. All right, next up. Question 2 is from Anonymous, and they are wondering, what are the benefits of the GDS? And if you don't know what the GDS is, that is the Global Distribution System, and we will pop a link in the show notes for an article that explains what the GDS is. The thing to know about it is it's typically used by corporate travel advisors or leisure travel advisors that have been in the business a long time, when you had to know the GDS to be a travel advisor. But that is not the case anymore, and many leisure travel advisors don't know the GDS. In fact, there's even there's quite a few host agencies that don't even offer the GDS. Like it's not that they don't offer it to new advisors, they just don't even have it at all. So it's not something you need to operate. But here are the advantages of the GDS system. So one is, and we got these answers from Larry Naron, who, if you haven't checked out Larry's Travel Agent Chatter episode, it's really fantastic. He really only does airfare. He calls him the airfare expert / concierge. But the first thing is that issuing a ticket in the GDS makes you the issuer, or the agency on record that owns that ARC number. It makes you the issuer, which is great, because that means that if you called in to, say, Delta Airlines and booked it through their phone support, or if you did it on their site, Delta is the issuer, which means you're not going to be able to call in and do things for your clients. Your client is going to need to. So when you do it in the GDS, it makes you the issuer, so you're able to edit and do things, make changes within the GDS system. The second is you can hold space, which is not something that's normal. And Larry says that used to be a travel agent specific perk, but now many airline websites allow you to do it, but they do it and they charge you a fee for it usually. The other thing is you can hold space during irregular operations, which Larry refers to as IRROPS. And I asked him what that is, but he hasn't gotten back to me. So I don't know what that is. The fourth thing is you get direct inventory access and last seat availability, meaning that you're getting live inventory. It's connected directly to the airline's inventory. So you're not seeing something where you've all been on a site where it's like, oh, there's 4 seats available or 2 seats available, but then you go and it's been booked. You're getting real-time access. And then the other thing that's really handy for travel advisors is you have quick access to the airline fare rules, which can be really complex. So you'll be able to quickly pull up with just some keyboard strokes, the book by date, the sales date, all sorts of information. The other thing is you can do cabin class combinations in your booking. So you could do a business flight out to the, say you're going to Spain on a red eye, and then do premium economy on the way back in the daytime. And then the last thing is you can void your tickets until midnight every day, which is something that's really nice for travel agencies. And just to let people know, that voiding the ticket until midnight every day is different from the Department of Transportation's 24-hour cancellation rule. And that rule is that if you've made a booking and say you're like, oh, I didn't actually have the money for that, or shoot, I didn't check with the person and they're actually not going to be home when I wanted to visit, you can call the airlines and get a refund. They passed that quite a few years ago. But in the GDS, you can actually void a ticket until midnight. So if a client books in the morning, and you get an immediate refund and you don't have to wait for it the way you have to do for the DOT rule. So let's see. Our last question for the day is from Anonymous. And let's see. Anonymous says, I saw ASTA had a conference this week. They sure did. And I felt really left out in social. I hear about all these travel events and I don't know which one I should prioritize. Is ASTA's event a good fit for new advisors, even if I'm not a member yet? Great questions. If there's anybody in the comments that went to ASTA's event or has gone to one in the past, would love to hear your thoughts on it. I've gone to ASTA events in the past and they're great for newbie travel advisors and experienced travel advisors. One thing to note is they did rebrand this year to, it used to be ASTA's Global Convention, and now it is the Travel Advisor Conference, or yeah, the Travel Advisor Conference. So I would say, Anonymous, even if you're a new advisor, it's great for you. If you're not a member yet, you can definitely go. I think they just have higher rates if you're not a member. And I would encourage you to become a member because ASTA does a lot for the travel advisor community. It also keeps you plugged into different legislation that is looking to be passed, because sometimes our representatives and our legislators, they have somewhat good intentions, even though I know everyone's a little sour on politics right now, but they have sometimes good intentions when they pass something, but they don't know how it's actually going to affect people on the ground, specifically travel agencies. So ASTA's job is to make sure that they're looking at the legislation that's going in. If it affects travel advisors, they have all the travel advisors reach out to their local representatives and letting them know, hey, if you do this, this is going to cause a problem for me and here's why. And so it's a great thing to be plugged into so that you can reach out to your legislators. They also provide tons of educational opportunities, one of which is ASTA's Roadmap to Becoming a Travel Advisor course. So if you are a new advisor, that's a course that was written, I helped ASTA with it and wrote most of it. And so we actually have, we'll put the link into the roadmap course. And if you take that, one thing to mention is once you get the certification, completion certificate for that, you can send it to her. And if you are interested in taking our 7-day setup accelerator course, you get $40 off if you take the ASTA roadmap course. ASTA Roadmap course is really great on learning how the travel industry works, who the players are, giving you examples of what a day in the life of a travel advisor is, so that going forward, you're like, this is a good fit for me, or this is not what I thought. And then the 7-day setup course is actually how to start your agency, kind of the business things that you need to do. So the other thing to mention is if you are an experienced advisor, There's also an affiliate link for our course. So if that's something you're interested in, you can get 20% commission for new or experienced advisors that send out their specific affiliate link to people that are interested in starting a travel agency. The other thing, we brought up our events calendar, but I'll bring it up again because it's not just fam trips on there. There's probably 130 different events on there. So make sure to check it out if you haven't already. Again, we'll pop the link in the show notes, but it's a great place to see webinars, educational webinars, to see all the conferences that are going on. Oftentimes they'll have fam trips involved with them to see the trade shows. It'll have some ASTA local trade shows that are there. So for local chapters, they often, it's the same thing as the ASTA conference, is they'll allow non-members to come. It'll usually just be at a higher rate. So that's a great way to sample it out, get to know people in your community and see if it's something you want to get involved in, which I hope you do. So I think that wraps it up for today. A big thank you again to Outside Agents and Chad for sponsoring today's Friday 15 Us page. So upcoming, who we have for our co-host for the Friday 15. June 7th is Travel Planners International, and you are expecting me to say Jen Lee is going to be the co-host, but it is not Jen, because as we've been mentioning, she is moving on to Vacation Planners, which is Travel Planners International's franchise brand. And Dave, we have Uniglobe Travel Center, and April Swales will be our co-host. And then June 21st, already midway through, near the solstice, we will have Lavarte Travel with Lori Spears. So thank you all for joining me on this beautiful, beautiful Friday afternoon. I hope you have a wonderful last weekend before we